What is quick sketch and why is this type of drawing practice so important for those of us who are looking for deeper progress with our art? Quick sketch is a type of drawing practice that really challenges us to take in visual information as quickly as possible, synthesize it, digest it, and get down the essence of what we're observing, the main things about what we're observing, down on paper, canvas, or whatever substrate it is that you're working on as quickly as possible. It really strengthens the connection between our eyes, brain, and hand and arm muscles because we have to take in that information quickly, synthesize it and digest it, and then make it happen on our substrate. With quick sketch, it's more about strengthening that connection so that you can get faster and looser and more expressive. Quick sketch is not about precision. It's not about creating a super polished piece. It's about allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to capture things in a raw way, in an imperfect way. It helps you create more unique and dynamic results as you continue developing your line quality and control over your drawing tools. Quick sketch usually involves setting a timer, whether it's 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or less. It usually depends on what it is that you're drawing, so the type of subject matter that you're tackling, and also, of course, your current skill level. And another reason why this type of drawing practice is so powerful is because it helps you continue practicing drawing from the shoulder and moving your entire arm as you're drawing, as opposed to just moving your wrist, which is what a lot of beginners do, which I've talked about in other videos, how it's so important to draw on a tilted or slanted surface and to practice that ability to move your entire arm as you're drawing, because it really helps you improve your line quality and your control over your drawing tools. Quick sketch and even quicker paintings allow you to develop skills that longer drawings and paintings don't. And what I have seen both in my own practice and with so many people that I've helped in my journey is that if you never make time for this kind of practice, you never develop the skills to draw and paint faster. You never develop that confidence that this skill can bring. Not to mention, if you're looking for looser, more expressive results, not ever making time for this kind of practice can really hold you back. I always advise my students to make time for both quicker sketching as well as longer pieces so that they can continue developing in both areas. And you're also going to get more from your practice if you use both reference photos as well as work from direct observation with objects and subject matter that you have in front of you in real life. But as you are choosing your images and deciding on your subject matter that you're going to be sketching, and also deciding on the amount of minutes that you're going to be giving yourself or setting that timer for, always take into account your current skill level and the practice that you already have. If this is something that you've never done before, then start with one object and give yourself 15 minutes or even 20 minutes if you feel you need it. And then once you're comfortable with that, add another object or choose an object with greater complexity, or give yourself less time, maybe 15 minutes. Give yourself time and space to work on 3, 5, or even 10 sketches before liking your results. The more you sketch, the stronger that connection becomes between your eyes, brain, and hand and arm muscles, and the better the results become. And what's super cool is that these are so quick that even in an hour, you can practice a lot, and most likely than not, you're gonna see a huge improvement between the first sketch that you created in that hour and the last sketch that you created. There are a few tips that I wanna provide. The first one is to remember the 3 keys to drawing successfully that I have shared in many other videos. These 3 keys go for anything that you're trying to draw. The first thing is always work from general toward specific, large to small. You do not want to be distracted by the smaller details, textures, highlights, or whatever it is in the beginning of the process when you're trying to focus on proportions, shapes, and that kind of thing. The second key to drawing anything successfully is start your drawing lightly and get darker and darker once your shapes, proportions, perspective even look good to you. And the third key to drawing is simplify everything as basic shapes or forms, especially in the beginning of the process. Another huge tip for you is make time to observe your reference photo before setting your timer and clicking go and getting started. Another huge tip for you is warm up before getting started. This will help you loosen up your shoulder, loosen up your arm, and really get into the flow of drawing lines and shapes quickly. It also helps you get started with better pencil control, especially if you're making sure to warm up using proper drawing grips. Also, make sure that you are just using 1, max 2 drawing tools for these exercises, because this is not the type of drawing where you can use a bunch of different pencil grades. You want to set yourself up for success since the beginning with a drawing tool that is going to allow you to develop a nice range of values. I like using pencil grades that are softer. By using the soft pencil grade, I am able to create both very light lines if I exert very little pressure, and very dark lines if I exert more pressure. This means that with one single drawing tool, I'm going to be able to develop lighter lines when I need them, darker lines when I need them, and I'm going to be able to shade nice and quick. Pick a drawing tool that will allow you to develop a nice range of values, that has some amount of smudginess to it so that you can quickly go in and do some blending with your fingers or a tissue. Another thing is avoid erasing as much as possible. Remember, we're not going for perfection here or anything polished. If you create some light lines and you leave them behind, that is perfectly okay. And finally, my last tip for success is to draw large. What I mean by this is using at least a 9 by 12 inch sketchbook, because if you work smaller, that's really not going to encourage you to draw from the shoulder and move your entire arm. The smaller you draw, the more you're going to feel the need to be super precise and just move your wrist. And the larger you draw, the more you're going to be encouraged to move your entire arm, especially if you're trying to draw quick. Moving on to photo number 3, we have a banana, and the challenge here is that the banana is partially peeled. So we have those banana peel sections kind of curving out, and we're able to see the inside of the banana peel and also the outer part of the banana peel. So there are twists there that we have to make sense of. So I'm going to set my timer one more time, 5 minutes, set this beside me, and I'm going to observe that reference photo for 30-40 seconds before jumping in. You can also sharpen your pencil or whatever drawing tool it is that you're using if you have to. Thinking of how I'm going to be approaching this drawing, I think the best thing for me to do in this one is going to be to create a blocky shape for the bulk of the banana and then separate shapes for the banana peels. I think that's going to make things a little bit easier for me. All right, let's jump in. Another 5 minutes. So that's the bulk of the banana. And now I'm observing where this first section of banana peel, or the closest one, which creates the largest shape, how it's going. I see kind of this thing happening. For that one, maybe a little bit larger. I think it should make it larger. And then there's one back here. I'm trying to notice what's what in terms of the planes of those banana peels. And this back one, I'm gonna separate out the inner section of the banana peel from the outer section. And then here, this one comes
all the way out, sticking out like that, and comes in, creating a shape. So initially I create that shape, bringing together the inner and outer sections of the banana peel, just creating a general shape, and then I separate out the shape into outer and inner planes. It's easy to get lost when something is twisting and curving like this, but just do your best and keep going. All right, great. So now the proportions look okay to me. I'm going to start creating a bit of a bolder line by pressing down my pencil a little bit more, and I'm now trying to create curves instead of straight lines. Going over those straight lines, I think this is more like that. This one is probably longer in the image, but that's okay. And then this goes like this. And a little bit of a pointy edge to the banana. And comes in. And then this one here goes down, outer edge. Okay, I'm going to start with shading, see what I can do. Makes sense for some shadow to be here and here. This part of the banana is very dark. And all of this is quite light. I'm going to take my charcoal stick before my time runs out and darken those darkest areas. Going back to my pencil, adding in some subtle texture. Adding some subtle texture in the banana, barely touching the tip of my pencil to the paper. Adding a little bit of thickness to the peel. Some spots in the peel as well could be helpful. All right, that's time. So this one includes a candle, which is of course a cylindrical structure, and 3 pears. So again, if you think you need a little bit more time, set your timer for 8 minutes, 10 minutes, or even 15 minutes. There's nothing wrong with that. I am going to give myself 8 minutes for this one, and let's see how far I get. If I want a couple of extra minutes after that, I can go ahead and do that. So just setting my timer by my side and taking a second, taking a minute to observe that reference photo, asking myself where I'm going to get started, how I'm going to be creating those initial envelopes, and noticing any possible areas that might present a challenge. For the man-made object, which is the candle, I am noticing those ellipses created by that cylindrical structure. It's important that I observe those ellipses created by the candle and get those 85 to 90% correct if I want to communicate believable perspective and 3D form. If you've been through my past classes on how to draw cylinders and form and perspective that I share with the Rising Star tier, then you're already aware of how form relates to perspective. And if my ellipses are too wide or too tall and my pairs show a different perspective, my perspective overall can end up looking inconsistent. And you don't have to be super precise, but I would say get your ellipses at least 90% there correct. 8 minutes. Let's go. I'm gonna leave some space for the stem. And leave some space over here for these guys. And the candle is here. And I'm just gonna remember right now I'm just focusing on location, overall shape and proportions, making sure that my elements are similar in distance from each other as what I'm seeing in the photo. I still haven't turned anything into actual cylinders or anything like that yet. These two pairs I could bring together into just one single envelope or block-in shape if I wanted to. Ends here. Okay, I think this is a little bit too large. End it here. Might be a little bit taller. I'm gonna bring this up a bit. And then this one, where is this one in relation to this one here? Start in my block-in. All right, does that look good to me? Relatively similar negative space. I think this one is much shorter in the image. There's not as much difference in height here. This one is larger, taller, I should say. I can bring this up. Can erase this quickly and erase this quickly. Great. Okay, so I'm going to start turning this into more of a cylinder. Where's the lid? And this plane for the lid. And then you bring this in a little bit. And then if I want to make this look like a candle, I need to add the wax. And this whole thing is the upper plane. And the wax creates another ellipse, which has to be similar to this one if I want the perspective to look consistent. I can add a little bit of extra height to the candle by just creating another line. Maybe I just do one wick instead of 3. All right, let's go. Turning this into more curved lines. And where is the stem coming out of? I'm going to make this a little bit more crooked. I don't like stiff looking stems. A little bit of shadow here. All right, so how about these? Turning these into more curved lines. And the stem. And then this one. Curving this out more. And then the stem comes down like that, kind of. All right, moving on with the shading. I get the sense that the light is hitting these objects from the top left, because the majority of the darker values that I see throughout them, especially the pears, are on the right, opposite to the light source. The stems are quite dark, so I can just scribble them in, give them a darker value. Create imperfection along the edges of those pears. Organic objects are always going to have imperfections throughout them. It makes things look more natural. Developing a bit of a shadow under the pears. Longer on the right because the light source is on the left. You can see those cast shadows clearly in this reference photo. You can see that reflection on the smooth reflective material of the lid. This is glass, so values don't work the same way because it is so reflective. I'm not going to add the label for the candle. I switch on over to my charcoal pencil. Go over the darkest parts, which in this case are the stems. Maybe create some more expressive lines and marks. Maybe even add more imperfections to the pears. Okay. All right. So those were 8 minutes. I was able to do quite a bit. I'm going to give myself a couple of extra minutes to do a little bit more shading. I'm going to go back to my charcoal stick. Develop a little bit of a darker occlusion shadow area nearest the objects. Need my pencil again, create a bit of a shadow here. I'm taking a lot of liberties with the shadows down here, but I'm still trying to keep the lighting consistent throughout the drawing. Meaning I'm thinking of the location of the light source. Okay, developing a little bit more shading in the pears. And that is it. That is what I was able to do in 10 minutes. Really hope that you enjoyed this one, and I hope that you continue working on more quick sketch exercises of your own. Remember to always choose subject matter that is appropriate for your current level. Choose photos that you feel are a little bit challenging, but that with a couple of tries you will probably be able to do, and be flexible when it comes to the time that you set for yourself. If you need a few extra minutes, give yourself a few extra minutes. There are no hard and fast rules for these exercises. You need to make them work for you, and the more you sketch, the better you're going to become. Thank you so much for joining me on these. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy your art practice and see you very, very soon.